Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Green Film Festival of San Francisco. We kind of try to bring some of the most progressive and irreverent environmental and films about the world to you guys here in the Bay Area to see. You just saw the really great documentary Lagunaria, which is our centerpiece film. It was just a great film to kind of run across. And we have some of the filmmaking team here. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Could you each introduce yourselves and your role in the film? Giovanni, do you want to start?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. This is Giovanni Pellegrini. I'm a director and DOP and producer together with Chiara of Lagunaria. And yeah, this is my act of love to my city, Venice.
Hello, my name is Chiara Andric. I am the editor of this film and also a producer because me and Giovanni co-found Ginkgo Film, that is our production company based in Venice.
And I'm Francesco, and I'm simple Venetian citizen. And sometimes in the film, I have a rule because I'm going around with my boat, and I was helping Giovanni and Chiara to point some aspect, particularly related to the over-tourism, the problem that tourism has in our city.
Good. Well, thanks again for being here. It's a really beautiful film and obviously just a very thought-provoking in regards to its story. I guess a good place to start is what inspired you to make the film, and in being, insiders, of being of the city versus outsiders, how do you think that it kind of affected the way that you approached your storytelling?
Yeah, well, the fact that we are living in the city is a key element on our storytelling. But the thing that moved me and convinced me to make another movie on a city like Venice, which is told every year by many filmmakers, is that the key point is that the city I know, I grown in, is kind of disappearing slowly because it's losing many of its inhabitants, and together with the inhabitants, it's losing its traditions, its culture, and it's like kind of being submerged by the mass tourism. Well, we have the double problem. It's climate change from one side and mass tourism on the other side. So the city I grown up is kind of disappearing. So I wanted to show the city I knew before it disappeared, and at the same time to raise a voice and just say, hey, we're in trouble. This city is kind of disappearing. This is a humanity patrimony, UNESCO patrimony, but if we don't do anything, this patrimony will be just some walls and some nice pictures, but the city with the people living there, the traditions, the culture will be disappeared. So this is an act of love, but is a cry for help, and to point out that the situation we're living in is very dangerous.
I think sometimes we take for granted that the things that we often love about cities is it's not the building, geography, it's the people and the culture that really make it special. As you started filming, was there kind of a certain style or aesthetic that you took, or did you have a script, or did you kind of just was it more random of the way that you kind of found the different pieces that you created?
Yeah, maybe this is a question, an answer that can lead to Chiara as well, because she edited. And yeah, I had something in mind. It was a story of a city through some characters, some protagonists. So I started shooting, and many people that I shot were like dead ends because they weren't as good as I thought. And some stories were the good stories, but I needed to tell the story of my city. So the process was very long. We took 5 years of shooting, and I living in Venice, I was there over time to shoot something new. But after, while shooting, the style evolved, and this is due to the use of drones as well, that led me to a wide-angle perspective, well, bird's eye view and wide-angle perspective. And slowly the camera in the water was very difficult to shoot steady images on boats, because, well, the production was very like low profile and do it yourself. So we had many solutions, cheap solutions to get nice images. But slowly I found a style, and that style, I had to say, is led by the view of the city I had with the drone. So wide angle and very steady, very stable images. So then I gave to Chiara hundreds of hours of shooting, and I told her, okay, there you go.
And Chiara, how did you take up that challenge of weaving together all these different elements?
Yeah, the editing phase was quite long, because we edit like 30 different versions of the documentary. And when you said random, I laughed, because I mean, was a bit random, because Giovanni was shooting for during 5 years, spring, summer, autumn, winter, a lot of events. He followed different characters. So when we arrived at the editing phase, first we had to choose which characters follow, because we had like 20 characters. So we choose only the 6 that are in the documentary. And then we first edit a first version that was more a classic documentary with interviews also. But we understand that we had to do something different, find a new way of telling the story. And at that point, Giovanni had an intuition, an inspiration, that was the book, The Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino, that is an Italian writer, that wrote a book where there are the tales of different cities, and these cities are invented, real. So we decided to follow this path. And so the film entered this mysterious narrator, perhaps from a distant time, that narrates stories and tales between reality and fantasy about the city. So this was the most important decision in the film, because from there we went in a different direction.
Yeah, and I can add that this idea came from the shooting, and especially from the scene where Uma, Chiara, and Davide, which are the eco activists, find the Marco Polo's book, The Million, floating in the water. So Marco Polo is a traveler that first described Asia to the European countries, and Marco Polo is the narrator of the Città Invisibili as well, by Calvino. So finding the Marco Polo's book floating in the water gave me this idea of following this path, which is an homage to Italo Calvino, which is one of my favorite books. And when I read it, I always find something of my city, Venice. And so I decided to not tell other cities, as Marco Polo is doing in that book and in his book, but describe all the time the same city, Venice, and trying to describe in some way other cities around the world.
Well, it's neat. It's interesting that the film evolved over time, and that you let serendipity kind of, in the end, it's still the core idea that you started with. It's just the way that it was expressed, changed. And I think what you've made is very special. Francesco, can you, this kind of, often when we think about Venice and the threats that it's under, we, think of climate change. But I think as Giovanni had shared is like, can you share us a little bit about like, how has mass tourism kind of changed Venice over the decades? And as many people who love or want to see Venice at some point in time, how does one become a responsible tourist?
It's very difficult to answer to this question. I'm really I'm an activist, let me say, and with some other people, of course, we work to understand the impact, the effect, above all, of the tourism, the mass tourism, as you can imagine, nowadays creates a big problem to our city. Of course, also climate change. So there are two different type of problems that we are facing. We are focused on mass tourism, first of all, and in particular, the reason is that in the recent years, in the last years, the increasing of, let me say, short-term rental, okay, boosted by platforms such as Airbnb, makes very difficult for residents to find a home. Until some years ago, the problem was only the price. Nowadays, it's difficult to find because all the apartment, all the flat are put in the short-term rental market. So I think this is one of the most important issue that we had to face. And of course, we are used to say that a city without resident is not more a city. Okay, so we have to preserve not only the stones, the church, the building, but also the community, the people that we want to have, that they have the opportunity to stay in Venice. So the words of Giovanni and Chiara help us to focus not only on the poetic part of the city, but also to the resistant part of the community that want to stay here and to find a way to stay here.
Do you think, has that resistant part of the community, has that something that's always been there in Venice, or has it amplified over the years because of people seeing what's lost?
No, I think that people have the awareness of the situation, and there are a movement of people that they want to not only to stay in Venice, but also to communicate to the rest of the world how important is nowadays to fight with us. Okay, and so this is another reason because we support the documentary Lagunaria, because it's a way to spread around the world the importance to support our fight.
Awesome. And so as we wrap up, is there any, this is always the hard thing, right? Is that when you see Venice on camera, it's hard not want to go, for those that, whether it be in Venice or elsewhere, I mean, what are things that we can do to not make the situation more difficult, or to, I guess, help spread the message?
Well, this is a difficult answer, but we are not doing this film to tell the people don't come. All right. Venice has always been a destination for tourists and travelers from around the world, and we are welcoming them. But what we want is to raise awareness of where people is coming, because many times you find people ask for where is the Colosseum and where is the Pisa Tower in Venice. These things are somewhere else, and they actually don't know that they are coming to a city. And for example, next time you are planning to come to Venice, think about where you're staying and where you're going and how you behave around the city and what you support by buying things or not buying things. So the thing is not erasing tourism or travelers, but erasing awareness of people coming to places, because tourism can be a destroying force for places. So I think people just need to know that each action has an effect. So if someone comes, please be welcome, but just know where you are and what you're doing.
Maybe try to understand the peculiar aspect of the city, and try to enter in a sort of relationship with citizen. Okay, it's not only to come, take photo, and go and fly away, but stay, maybe more. Of course, it's important to keep in mind that there is a limit. There is a maximum number of people that can be in Venice in the same time. So we have also to think about the theory of the limit. Let me say.
Yes. Well, I think those are good things to think about, and I think all of us, especially as the world changes so much in the decades, is that the more informed and curious that you are about the world, the better we'll all be. So thank you again for all your efforts in making this film and joining us for being part of the Green Film Festival of San Francisco. Thanks again, and looking forward to the next film you guys create.
Thank you, and thank you for hosting us, and thank you for your time, and see you in Venice, maybe.
I hope so. Thanks again, guys.